Today on Rappler, Eat Bulaga hosts Tito, Vic, and Joey file a copyright complaint against Tape Incorporated and GMA Network. The International Criminal Court will make public its decision on whether to resume its probe into Duterte's war on drugs on July 18. A survey says most Filipinos agree alliances with other countries are important to defend the West Philippine Sea. LeBron James announces he will play for his 21st NBA season. The Unbearable Lightness of Being writer Milan Kundera dies at 94. HBO Succession and The Last of Us lead the Emmy Awards nominations. And Zayn Malik talks about his departure from boy band One Direction. Eat Bulaga hosts Tito Soto, Vic Soto, and Joey De Leon file a complaint against former production company Tape Incorporated and former network GMA for alleged quote-unquote copyright infringement and unfair competition. The complaint stems from Tape and GMA's continued airing of Eat Bulaga episodes and use of the show's name. The trademark for the name Eat Bulaga was owned by Tape until June 14 when the registration expired. TVJ earlier filed a petition seeking to cancel Tape's trademark, alleging that the registration was, quote, obtained fraudulently. But Tape's lawyer says the production company owns the name Eat Bulaga. The trio, who had hosted Eat Bulaga since it first aired in 1979, announced their departure from Tape on May 31, 2023. After TVJ's departure, Eat Bulaga went back on air on GMA on June 5 with a new set of hosts. The Appeals Chamber of the International Criminal Court will make public its decision on July 18 on whether to resume its probe into former President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs. Earlier than expected, Rappler sources had estimated the decision would be handed down in September. If the appeals chamber gives its nod, prosecutor Karim Khan's next step will either be to gather more evidence or seek an arrest warrant or summons. It is still uncertain who will be included in the warrant or summons, but Duterte and his former police chief Bato de la Rosa were often mentioned in reports. If the appeals chamber junks the probe, Human Rights Watch counsel Maria Elena Vignoli says the investigation will be closed. The ICC probe covers the 6 years of Duterte's bloody drug war and alleged Davao Death Squad when he was Davao City Mayor and Vice Mayor. Human rights groups estimate 27,000 people died, both in police, anti-drug, and vigilante operations during Duterte's presidency. Most Filipinos agree the Philippines needs alliances with other countries to defend the West Philippine Sea. A Pulse Asia survey says 80% of Filipinos say these relationships are necessary to protect the international order. 3% disagree with the alliances, while 17% of respondents are on the fence about the idea. When asked what steps the Marcos administration should take to address issues in the contested waters, 72% say the country's military capability should be strengthened. The survey results are released on July 12, 7 years after the 2016 Hague ruling against China's 9-dash line in the South China Sea. The Philippine Coast Guard reports continued harassment from Chinese vessels in the country's exclusive economic zone. LeBron James announces his decision to play for his 21st NBA season while accepting an award at the ESPYs in Los Angeles. LeBron said a few months ago he was questioning his ability to keep performing without cheating the game and to still give everything to the game. A 4-time NBA champion and 4-time league most valuable player, LeBron adds retirement is a possibility. He says, quote, "The day I can't give everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today." LeBron, a 4-time Finals MVP and 19-time All-Star, averaged 28.9 points last season, slightly up from his career average of 27.2 per game. LeBron's 21st season will be the longest active run in the NBA. Czech-born writer Milan Kundera, author of the novel The Unbearable Lightness of Being, dies at the age of 94. The Moravian Library, or MZK, which houses Kundera's personal collection, says he died in his Paris apartment on Tuesday, July 11, after a long illness. Kundera won accolades for themes and characters that floated between the mundane reality of everyday life and the lofty world of ideas. His first novel, The Joke, was published in 1967 and offered a scathing portrayal of the Czechoslovak Communist Party. He ultimately abandoned his hopes that the party could be reformed and moved to France in 1975. 4 years later, he was stripped of his Czechoslovak citizenship. His most famous work, The Unbearable Lightness of Being, centers on the Prague Spring and its aftermath. HBO drama Succession, the story of a cutthroat fight for the control of a family media empire, leads the nominees for television's Emmy Awards. There are 27 nominations for the show's final season. Others competing for Best Drama include HBO's Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon, Vacation Gone Wrong story The White Lotus, and Star Wars series Andor. Previous nominees Better Call Saul, Yellow Jackets, and The Crown are also in the mix. Ted Lasso will compete for Best Comedy against Abbott Elementary, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, The Bear, Barry, Jury Duty, Only Murders in the Building, and Wednesday. For limited series, the list includes Netflix's The Jeffrey Dahmer Story and Beef, as well as Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. Roughly 20,000 members of the Television Academy will choose the winners, to be announced in September. Former One Direction member Zayn Malik candidly shares why he left the hit boy band 8 years ago in an episode of Call Her Daddy. In his first interview in 6 years, Zayn explains there was a lot of politics going on, which ultimately led to his decision to leave. He also shares there were, quote, underlying issues within his friendships with former bandmates Louis Tomlinson, Liam Payne, Niall Horan, and Harry Styles, saying, quote, we've been together every day for 5 years and we got sick of each other, if I'm being completely honest. One Direction was formed in 2010 during the British singing competition The X Factor. Zayn exited the group in March 2015, and after a final album release by the 4 remaining members, One Direction announced a hiatus in August 2015. And that's today's wrap. I'm Paterno Esmaquel. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. Follow us on Rappler's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.